finals here. All right.
Yeah, let's get to that action.
Exactly. No, I know it's late, everyone. We're sticking through it here, but we are on to the finals. And what we're going to do here is this is going to be the best of 5 finals. So that's one thing we always do is have everything else is best of 3, but we want to make sure that we get a little bit of bonus time for the best of 5 finals here. So while I'm getting that match set up, we can take a look at this is Tempest Dragon King's Praxis Arcanum Elysian deck here.
Yeah, this one's very similar to a lot of the ones we were seeing. I mean, I think I've said this a few times, but there's definitely a few flex slots in here. A lot of common cards. Obviously, you're gonna have the Smuggler, you're gonna have Saudi, Albin Roa, Daring Griffin. I think Island Mizo is in most of these as well, but the Woda is kind of a new addition here. The Praxis Arcanum. I think Temple Sheehan isn't in every single one of these lists. I don't think that Noverb had that one in his. And then I think Stormlinks as well. And I don't even know if Amaranth Armadillo is in many others either. I haven't seen that in a lot of these lists. So definitely a few different choices here for Tempest Dragon King, and I think ones that have served him well. I mean, the Woda's been given him you, and Praxis Arcanum. I mean, you saw how effective it was there. So
Yeah, I was
definitely
gonna
seems
say
like
we saw the Woda be pretty effective so far.
yeah.
And going back to the Invoke, we talked a little bit about whether we support or not having the Invoke be so powerful. But I think that's been the story of tonight, how powerful the Invoke has been in all these decks. Just basically being able to replace the card you play, because these are powerful cards on their own, so you don't even need to replace them. But to basically staple on get a free card and get your choice of 3 onto an already powerful card, I think it's hard to really conceptualize just how powerful that effect really is.
Right. Oh yeah, can you scroll down a little bit so we can see the market?
Yep. So the market, we've got an Emblem, a Crystallize, a Predator's Instinct, a Waystone Fragment, and a Infinite Hourglass.
Yeah, that Hourglass is a really good market choice. That's one that I did not have in my Elysian market at first, but it's I think 100% necessary. There's so much permafrost running around. You got the dedicated curse deck that obviously runs it, and I think anything in Primal is going to probably run at least 4 of, maybe 3 of in some decks, but it's such a good piece of interaction. So I think having that Infinite Hourglass in the market is really, really good tech.
All right, switch over here to TonyGeeee's control deck, his Felnscar control deck. So we talked about how this was pretty much eliminate anything that's in the way, kill off everything that's there, and then play your heavy hitters. And when you look at these heavy hitters, I actually want to go there first. You've got the double set of Smugglers, which is fairly common in these slower decks, really gives you a lot of options. And then look at the other 2 unit sets. You've got you had your top end in Carvet, the dragon, and then what do you have? You've got Invoke. You got 4 copies of this Listener, Incarnis, with the Invoke spell again. And just the insane amount of value that this gives you. You can clearly tell that Tony was able to test with this, that they looked at this and saw how powerful this card was. I think this is actually a key to this deck too, just being able to stabilize, eat at least 1 spell, if not 2, of your opponents, and then get something on your own. It's just insanely powerful there. And then we saw the 4 Maledictions. We've seen those do a lot of work tonight. And then your other classic answers, so you see these decks are built around Seek Power, Seek Answers. Make sure that you hit your power drops. That's most important. Wisdom of the Elders, same. Just make sure you can hit all your power and then have a bunch of removal to kill off what they're doing, and then just slam these value creatures here and run away with the game at that point. And their market is a Felm Insignia, Big Vara, which we've actually seen Big Vara a couple times tonight, Diesel's Office, a Fel Ritual, and an Edict, which we've also seen Edict. I feel like it grabbed first from the market all the time.
Yeah, and I really do like all the 1 and 2 ofs as well of the spells. Being able to just resurface them with Garden of Omens is so much value. So you don't actually have to have like a full set of those cards. You can just have the little tech choices that you're able to grab when you need them. And you're gonna find the garden a pretty decent amount of time. So it's gonna be able to get you the things that you need. And sometimes it's just like a reread to get back, Vopric's Choice or Cremate or even a Wisdom. There's a lot of choices you can make with that resurface that are gonna and having just the one or two of is a lot of value.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. And they have just begun, so we are actually going to fire it down here. So we've got TonyGeeee set up on our side, and we've got the hand cam for TempestDragonKing. So TonyGeeee, still these matchups, we still got a lot of life left. So TonyGeeee still at 26, has an Edict and a Cremate in hand, and just fired off the Wisdom of the Elders to get a copy of the Listener and the Dragon, and then going to fire off the Edict to take care of TempestDragonKing's Woda and attack for 3. TempestDragonKing has a little bit of a slower hand, a little more reactive hand. They've got Sodi, Elan Mizo, Praxis Arcanum, a Permafrost, an Etched Monolith, and a second copy of Woda coming down.
Yeah, that Etched Monolith definitely came off the Woda. That is not in the deck.
All right, TonyGeeee drawing another listener copy. We talked about the Garden of Omens earlier, getting the nerf here previously this week, but still 4 copies in the deck making the finals, and it's been pretty powerful here. But I think you mentioned earlier, and I think you're right, that the reducing it to 2, it doesn't really play out that differently from having it at 4. The way that card plays out usually is on an empty board, clearing things out to begin with. Now the influence requirements do, and we've seen TonyGeeee be. He's had some smooth influence so far tonight, but lots of card draw and seek power, so but definitely built his deck that way. So give him credit. But yeah, we've seen that. Garden will definitely remain strong. I agree.
Yeah, and I mean, you definitely can see it here how that nerf, like, yes, it is a nerf, but it really didn't change hardly anything about the card because, like you said, it's more difficult with the influence. But I mean, you would think that in Expedition, where all we have is seats and insignias as dual faction powers, that it would be quite a bit more difficult to be hitting those in a 3-faction deck. And TonyGeeee really hasn't had hardly any issues being able to play that site. So definitely doesn't seem like the nerf was all that relevant.
Yep, good point there. Now Zelos brings up a point that people just haven't adjusted to it yet, and will be people playing more Char in the future to address the change to 2 on the site.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, Char is definitely a good answer.
good. I think the question there will be: does Char hit enough else in the format to be? You don't want to. You're not going to run it if it's just an answer to Garden.
No, definitely not. I think it's definitely a good enough card to play. I mean, I play that in my fire decks in Expedition. I think just having that extra bit of damage to, I don't know, something out that was blocking your stuff, or just get that little bit of reach. And now I guess the additional upside of being able to get rid of that site.
Oh, look at this! Betray the cause, stealing the Alban Roa with the killer to be able to take care of a unit and use up the killer effect. Pretty brutal play there by Tony.
Yeah, if only it had worked as he intended by getting rid of the Woda in addition, but still a good turn.
Still a good turn. Still a lot of value there for sure. The reread getting
Absolutely.
back the Edict here, and that's going to take care of the Sodi.
Interesting not getting back the steel card. I guess since he doesn't have the killer anymore, it's not quite effective.
TonyGeeee a little bit behind board on here, but pretty happy. I think got to still be at 18 at this point in the game. Garden's nice draw there.
Garden is a nice draw. The Woda will be able to invoke if he decides to swing here. Woda, the Incarnus.
All right, gonna play out the Garden. Okay, yep. Is gonna use probably one of the fewer used meltdown modes here to take care of that permafrost. Interesting playing what 4 copies of Permafrost in a world that's pretty anti-enchantment right now.
I mean,
Still,
there is a
still
lot of
effective.
attachment hate, but it's still really effective
Yeah,
removal.
still effective. Gotta love getting a Spore Breath off of the Invoke.
Oh man.
Oof. All right. If we've learned anything, chat, tonight from watching this tournament, you can go away with one lesson, which is value cards that give you free Invoke a little bit higher than you normally would have. Those cards have been absolutely powerful tonight in all the decks we've seen them in.
Yeah, and I mean, for several reasons, I think Incarnate is the best one to unblock to get triggered, and um, also Shadow having so many removal options, there's a pretty good chance you're going to find a piece of removal.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Um, it's very, very effective.
It's true. Yeah, that's a good point too. We've seen a lot of the edicts pull from markets tonight. Those seem like pretty common choices too. I think the edicts are pretty good there. And TonyGeeee being
Oh
actually
yeah.
blowing up, that's gonna put him down to lethal. That was a pretty strong attack there. Again, I don't think that was quite as backbreaking off the invoke there, but drawing a removal spell off of the invoke to be able to attack in and put your opponent to basically lethal. Again, another effective invoke draw there.
Yeah, I mean, Tony was in the driver's seat there. I don't think using in that position, but that certainly did continue the onslaught.
Shows the power of Incarnus to both deal the lethal damage and to draw the spells to be able to help you get there in one card.
Yep.
All right, so we've got TonyGeeeee here. Pretty decent hand. You got basically 2 removal spells and Smuggler in hand. And then firing up TempestDragonKings here. Remember, this is best of 5, so we're going to make sure that we get a full match here. So TonyGeeee's up 1. All right, and Tempest in hand has a Seek Power, a Smuggler, 2 Elan Mizos, a Sodi, and an Alban Roa. Although I've been pretty impressed with this Elysian aggro deck as well. I think that the control deck was a really smart and well-tested choice for TonyGeeeee, but I think I can see how the Elysian aggro deck can really beat up on anything else that's not polished. It just seems like this control deck is very polished, more so than I would expect, basically week 1.
Yeah, and I mean, the more we see this matchup, the more I think this deck might have actually just been purpose built to beat the Elysian aggro deck. I mean, it's just got all the tools. Again, like you said, it's just a powerful control deck, and it's in the pilot of a very good control player. But yeah, it seems like it's definitely directed at beating this deck.
All right. Well, you heard that. If you get frustrated with playing against the Legion aggro on the ladder and you want to counter, here you go. You got this control deck. But as someone else said in the chat earlier, you also got to be thinking that if TonyGeeeee pulls this out and gets this first place deck with this Felnscar control deck, you better have a plan for beating this control deck going forward, because you're going to see a lot of it.
You're going to see me playing it.
All right, going to seek answers for a Seed of Chaos. Again, we talked about that. Just making sure you just hit your power drops. Going to pull the Edict out of the market, take care of it, and just keep hitting your power drops here.
TonyGeeeee is missing the second primal.
He is. That's going to be tough for that
can't play
wisdom.
anything in hand.
Yeah, and that second, that Elan Mizo there coming down.
Oh, there it is.
It's pretty good.
Gonna need some good draws
The
here
wisdom.
still. Nope.
And that's not going to do it. Yep. And we talked about one of the important things about this control deck is really hitting your power and hitting your influence. We haven't seen it come up too much tonight. It seems like it's been pretty smooth draws for the times we've watched this matchup. But you can see there, not hitting your power, not hitting the right influence can punish you pretty quickly if you can't get there.
Yep. Yeah, it definitely can happen. I mean, it happens in the influence even easier, but certainly going to be an issue on occasion here in Expedition, where you don't quite have as many tools to fix your influence.
Yep, absolutely. So that's going to even things up. Tempest is going to take that one and even things up 1-1. So Tony G keeps a hand with removal and double wisdom of the elders, whereas Tempest keeps a hand with a permafrost, a Sodi, a smuggler, a daring griffin, and an Elu and Misa. So kind of classic draw here. I'm hesitating to even call this an Elysian aggro deck. When you start looking at the way that this deck plays out, it's not really an aggro deck. I mean, these cards are expensive. They're a little bit more powerful. This isn't your Stone Scar aggro. It's not your Mon or Fire aggro. It's a very different approach to a deck here.
Yeah, I would say it's more like tempo mid range. It's definitely trying to stick a few things and kind of tempo you out with the spell shapers and that kind of thing.
Absolutely. All right, Tony G drawing his one of Edict of Shavka there. Going to go ahead and fire off to kill the smuggler. As we've seen in the past, Tony G not afraid to just fire off these removal spells. As you said, make sure you get them off before the Griffin can be effective there. When your Griffin's alone on the board, it's much less of an effective card.
Yep, he proves the point of firing it off there.
And just continuing to hit his power drops and get to the late game.
Yeah, and Voprex Choice is going to clean up this Isla and Mizo.
Draw 2 more power.
He finds the fire for the Garden of Omens. Definitely tough sledding from here for TempestDragonKing.
No play there. Not going to play out the Griffin again on an empty board right into removal. It's just not going to do anything.
Yeah, Naked Griffin is not going to do anything again.
But at the same time, not playing anything against Tony G's deck and giving him a free turn to keep setting up and keep hitting power drops isn't going to do anything either. So kind of a lose-lose situation for Tempest. It's a tough position to be in.
Yeah, it really is. And when it gets to this point in the game, when TempestDragonKing has an empty, Tony G has all his influence, it's pretty much a done deal.
All right, going to give the Smuggler Reckless, but doesn't really matter too much at this point. Going to fire off the Ice Bolt there, taking care of the blocker.
Yep, get it out there before another Griffin comes down.
All right, Trailmaker.
No Griffin.
No Griffin. Conflagrate off the top. He's also, I will say that I have never seen Meltdown off of the Garden be so effective as we have tonight. Just getting rid of random permafrost and random, reckless. Just it's been much more effective than I usually see it.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, now this is interesting. You give the Griffin killer, it'll keep that. Now, when that dies, I believe the killer passes on to the new unit as well. Correct?
Yes, the killer will be on. So it will translate over to the 2-1 if he does use it here, which it looks like he is.
Yeah, that's a nice play. I like the killer on the Griffin. That's pretty good there.
Yeah, unfortunately, Conflagrate's gonna throw a wrench in the works here.
Yep, take care of that. But nice move by Tempest there. And now the permafrost. You don't have the meltdown mode now on Garden, so that permafrost is going to stick at least for the time being.
And Incarnus is a pretty sweet draw here for Tony G.
Just brutal as we've seen here. Incarnus. Oh, that's not a bad thing to draw. just a big Vara off of that. Yeah,
not a big deal.
All right. Let's see if Tempest can match.
Only targets a merchant here, but honestly, I think that's enough.
And
just
not
go get another
match
Vara from the market.
I'm gonna grab a wisp off of here. not quite even to big Vara, but and gonna ultimate the Garden.
Yeah, Edict's probably gonna clean something off the board here. I'm assuming it's the Loda. Another Carvet. This one's pretty much all but sealed.
You can also, if you really wanted to, you can fire off the other Garden to get rid of the permafrost.
Yep, sure could.
A lot of options here.
But decides for the Vara, which makes sense.
Yeah,
you can go get the merchant, go grab the other Vara.
Diesel's office, yeah. Yeah, just in great shape all around here. Going to be really hard for and you know Tempest deck is not like you said it's a tempo deck. It wants to be on the front foot and messing up your plans. It does not want to be coming back from a board that looks like this.
Yeah, exactly.
It does not show me the cards for spectating. I wish it did, so we don't get to see the choice, um, but we get to see the result here. All right, gonna equivocate back some units, which is fine.
Actually, yeah, two pretty good units actually to
Yeah,
be
two
turned
pretty good
into.
units. I think someone said to me the other day that yeah, anytime you equivocate an 8-drop, it's you're not too upset with the result. They're all pretty good at that point. I think Sonny mentioned that last time.
Yeah.
And this is where as the control player and TonyGeeeee very experienced at this has got to just think, okay, I'm so far ahead. I have so much gas in my hand. How do I not lose? How do I not lose my position here? How do I just close the door, just put them out of the game to make sure there's no chance of them coming back against this?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's just the only tough part about this for TonyGeeeee is which amazing card do I play?
Yeah. Gonna choose the Diesel's office here. All right, ambush going to just trade with the smuggler. It's fine. Follow up with a nice Rose Bloom Mandrake. Not something you always see in these Feldscar control decks, but it's the power of Equivocate.
Yeah, Equivocate did actually it gave him what would have been an 8 cost, but because of the text on the card, made it a 2 cost 6/6 overwhelm, which is pretty nice.
All right, not a bad pull there. All right, Garden here.
Yeah, gonna
We'll
take
go for
out the
the Ice
Island Mizo.
Bolt, and then you have the Cremate if you want it as well. Not even gonna worry
Don't even
about it.
need it. Just get him. I mean, if they go for the double block, you got the cremate to
Yeah.
take care of one and get them both. Yeah, this one's definitely over.
Yeah. Not much Tempest can do here.
Nah.
Another invoke for the rub-ins. All right.
Oh, gonna cremate.
The
Yeah,
the
makes
post
sense.
the post
Prevent the
combat
extra
cremate.
draw.
Yep.
Yep.
And yeah, this is just gonna be over here. Okay. All right. Alvin Roa.
Yeah, none of this matters.
Not gonna do it. All right. Well fought there. Tempest giving it the old try there to stay
Yeah,
in there.
he fought it out. You got to give him credit for that.
Fought it out. Okay. So now you have 2-1. So you got 2-1 in favor of TonyGeeeee. If Tony wins this next one, TonyGeeee's going to take home the $77 prize and the title of Expedition Champion for tonight. But Tempest is going to get in the way. TempestDragonKing says, no, I'm going to win the next two to take home the championship. So we'll see. I gotta feel like we're gonna. If I'm looking at this matchup, I think I like TonyGeeee's position. Not only because they're up 2-1, but just as you said before, it feels like he has built this deck to counter this type of strategy. Knows how to play it well. Knows the matchup. Seems like that's just a good place to be right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but of the 5 games we've seen this matchup, including the semifinals with no verb and now the finals, the only loss TonyGeeee's had is when he was stuck on influence.
That is true. That is true. Not to discredit any of anything the opponents are doing, but it did seem like the games that we have seen TonyGeeeee lost have been due to influence problems. That is true.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is a
it
thing
does
with
not.
these 3-faction decks, expensive 3-faction decks, but a lot of filtering, a lot
True.
of card draw. Yep.
Yeah. This flood is going to be an issue.
Yep. I mean, maybe that's the deck. If the power works with you, then you can beat any deck. You can beat any deck in the format and have a good play. If it doesn't, then you're in rough shape. All right, gonna smuggler here. Grab an edict. Very common play pattern that we've seen. If you're playing against this deck and you're a creature-based deck and they go to the market, pretty safe to assume that it's probably an edict here.
Yeah, absolutely. If it meets either one of the influence requirements, Edict of Makar, probably going to be the first grab.
Yep. And Tempest is going to smuggle, go there for a Waystone Fragment. Going to play out a Trailmaker here. Tony going to draw some cards. 2 more power. Still pretty flooded.
Yeah.
See what they can do.
It's
But
drawn a lot of power. Definitely going to be seeking for an answer, not a...
Sea Cancers. Now did get a cremate off the Sea Cancers. That's a pretty good thing to draw off that.
That is good.
Okay, Waystone Fragment. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
No Malediction in hand.
Malediction wouldn't even really do much here.
Yeah, it's true.
Take care of a couple 2/2s, and that's about it.
Now we're going to take care of the 6/6, leaving 6 power on board, spread across 3 units.
Ooh,
Drop 2
man.
more. This is going to be tough now. Well played by Tempest here, going wide. Tony with a hand, 5 more power in hand.
He drew 4 extra cards, and all 4 of them were more power.
All right, that's tough. But that is exciting for us because we now have a Game 5. It is 2-2 between TonyGeeeee and TempestDragonKing. It all comes down to this. This is Game 5. Buckle up, folks. This is for all the marbles on this one.
Exciting stuff.
All right. If you're in the player's seat here, you're taking a deep breath and you're saying, all right.
How much power is in Tony's deck?
25. And then I believe there's one
only
more in
25?
the market. 25 and one more in the market. And then you've got 4 Seek Power and 2 Seek Answers.
That's running 25 power in a control deck like this. It seems low, and also it's like it's low when he flooded so hard in that game.
All right, TonyGeeee's got Smuggler, Malediction, Cremate, and 4 more power. Tempest has got a lot in their hand. They've got a Temple Sheehan here. They've got a Smuggler, Sodi, and an Elend Mizo. Classic Elysian mid-range threats.
Yep. Unfortunate no Daring Griffin here. That would have been...
That is true. That would have been
nice
great
to
card.
protect.
But TonyGeeeee goes to the market, and what do they get? An Edict.
Of course. This one preemptive, though. Obviously not going to be the Trailmaker here.
All right, Smuggler. Let's see what Tempest grabs with Smuggler. Tough decision here. Let's see. They've got Predator's Instinct, Crystallize, Emblem, Waystone Fragment, and Hourglass. So Hourglass doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, you could grab the Waystone Fragment. That was pretty effective. Yep, that's what they're going to go with.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, making the Smuggler a 5/5, putting things out of range of Malediction, but unfortunately for TempestDragonKing, it's coming down now.
Yeah, it's too little too late at this point. The Malediction's going to take care of the board here.
Yep. And without a 5th power to play that Mizo, it's looking like a tough spot. But hey, that's a good Sony Spellshaper draw.
Spellshaper's going to draw. Good card, but a little bit awkward with the power there, drawing a 3-drop. Not drawing a power to make your 5 and not being able to play your 3 either.
Yep. And without third primal influence is necessary here as well. Yeah, not a good situation.
Yeah, but Edict going to take care of the links. All right, now there's your seat coming in depleted.
Yeah, good luck sticking anything, TempestDragonKing.
Yeah.
It's
tough. They didn't have a bad curve out here. It's just, again, it didn't line up great. They had the Malediction came down the turn before the Waystone Fragment. They couldn't play the 5-drop on time, so they were just kind of like one turn behind being able to put a real threat here.
Yeah, it was pretty much they forced Tony to have the malediction on turn 4, and he had it, and that was exactly what he had to do. Puts the Waystone Fragment down there, nothing dies to the malediction, or maybe one thing, and then it's pretty much a race at that point. And he had to put it on that because that's the only way for him to really win and get underneath this deck. And now I don't know if there's any way for him to come back.
All right, top decked the Fire Edict there. Doesn't really need that here. Probably going to toss it away.
Yeah, I would imagine that's going to go in the market.
Well, actually tosses the other smuggler away for the Diesel's office. Also, it doesn't have the 7th power for the Diesel's office, but
I suppose Edict is pretty effective because it does, if it's a primal unit at least,
yep.
it deals 5. So
yeah. All right, does draw the 7th power, but it's depleted here. All right. Well, Tempest is putting up a fight, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Grab a soda here. This is looking better. I mean, you're still going to Diesel's office.
We're going to lose that 6/6.
Yep, take care of the Ela Misa here, and you've got the 2 blockers, and you've got the Edict, so pretty good. But if you have something, I mean, this is your chance. Tony's out of gas here. They can get something off the scheme here. Wisdom of the Elders, that's a good one.
Ooh, that is a really good one.
It has seemed like this deck has drawn Wisdom of the Elders right when it's run out of gas.
Oh, and a Corvette.
Ooh. Does this deck always play out this smoothly? All right.
I mean, with as much card draw as in it, yeah, I would say so. I mean, obviously we saw 2 games, one of which Influence Screw and the other one was Power Flood. But yeah, when it's got its things going on and it's able to play stuff, it's pretty consistent.
And then drawing a Corvette and a Incarnus on the next 2.
Yeah, very good draws here for Tony. Unfortunately for TempestDragonKing, not as good. Brutal.
All right, Incarnus and another Corvette, which can play both this turn.
Yep. And may even just fire off that Cabal Extortion scheme, though.
Tempest with just a power in hand. And at this point, it's going to be tough for the Elysian deck to make a comeback here.
Yep. A last chance off the Invoke. Yeah, this game is definitely done and dusted.
So all right, we'll get into that in a second. Well, congratulations to TonyGeeeee on the big finals here. Great job, great tournament, Tony. Good to see you back in here playing strong. Control Master taking home the title of champion here on Expedition Challenge. So thank you for coming out, showing us how it's done, reporting to me in Discord. By the way, I won 3-2. Thanks, Tony.